What is up, everybody? And happy St. Patrick's Day here on this Tuesday. Happy United States gold medal game in the World Baseball Classic. If anybody's been paying attention to that, because I sure have. It's been absolutely electric, so good luck to the boys tonight playing Venezuela. But man, a lot to talk about in the NASCAR world. Obviously, we're decked out in green here because anytime we get the chance to celebrate or enjoy a holiday on the Motor Stardom Show, I'm going to do it to the fullest extent. So hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Hope everybody had a great week, great weekend, crazy weekend at Las Vegas. We got a lot to talk about. But we got a lot of awesome stuff coming to you on this show. We got the return of Mason Maggio here in a second. Tanner Popella will be joining us at 6:10 Eastern. Austin Green, driver the number 87 this year in the O'Reilly Series, will join us. We'll talk all about Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain. Carson Ware will be joining us at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and Ryan Ellis will be joining us at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So a lot to talk about on this show. We also have some breaking news we will get to here in just a second, but let's bring in the boys here. Returning this week is Mason Maggio, driver of the number 91 for DGM Racing. On occasion, drove it the last 2 weekends at Phoenix and Vegas, was out west like everybody was, staying out west for the weekend, but now back at home seemingly. Mason, how we doing?
I am suffering from a lot of jet lag. I'm not going to lie. Trying to get adapted back to the East Coast time zone because we've been out west for like 10 days. But happy to be back. Phoenix didn't go quite the way we wanted, but thankfully we had a good day at Vegas. Wish we had a little bit better result to reflect on it, but felt like other than that, we showed a lot of great speed, a lot of good potential, which is kind of what we were needing. And yeah, off this weekend, got Alex LeBay in the 91, which that's pretty cool from DGM side, having a little reunion, so that's cool. But yeah, no, happy that we were able to have a decent run at Vegas and be able to have some notes to build off of, and looking forward to supporting the team this weekend at Darlington and the next couple of weeks while I'm outside of the car. But got to tell you, RJ, we got a pretty stout lineup. Really excited. All of our guests are good friends of the show, but they're also just great people. So we're thrilled to have them on, and got a lot to talk about. Vegas was definitely exciting for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We got a lot to look forward to today. We got the Aura farmer, Austin Green, coming on the show. Carson Ware, who has won 2 late model races in the last 2 weeks. Dude's just killing it over there after his top 20 run at Daytona. Certainly a lot to talk about on his page, and then a long time coming. Those first 2 guys are guys that have been on the show before, but a long time coming. Ryan Ellis, we've been trying to get him on the show for a while, so certainly glad to finally get him on the show. But let's bring in our third man over here, Tanner Popella.
Oh,
looks
wow.
like he's being broadcasted on a 1970s television screen.
Hold on. Bro.
I mean, as long as we can hear you, it's all right. I mean,
Yeah. Tanner kind of has the vibe that, I don't know, like the Joker would give as he interrupts like a TV broadcast and he's getting ready to discuss his evil plan. Like, that's the vibe that I was kind of getting there when he first entered, like in the dark setting.
Let's turn on as many lights as we can.
He is wearing green. All
right,
we can
you guys hear me?
He's wearing green. Oh, yeah. Well, my underwear is green.
Your audio is good.
All right. Well, that's all that matters. How we doing?
Your audio is good. Yeah. No worries. No worries about the audio. But we are here. We got
Jason, a new. I would pinch you if I was right next to you. I don't see any green on you today.
Well, my underwear is green, so. Sucks to be you, I guess. I don't know. We're wearing green.
We're gonna let
green. We're just not representing.
I'm not gonna say anything. But happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did kind of forget. I didn't realize till RJ posted the graphic like 5 minutes before the show, and I was like, oh, I'm a little bit out of whack. See, that's what happens when you're on the West Coast for as long as I have. I'm all out of the loop with everything. I've been sleeping the past 2 days away since being back on the East Coast. It's been a hoot.
Exactly. I have not been out west since I was a little youngin', but hope to get back at some point. But real quick, before we get to our guests, I'd love to have a chance to chat about the race weekend over at Las Vegas, we had two races, one which was won by Denny Hamlin in the Cup Series, the other where Kyle Larson stole the race in the O'Reilly Show. Let's start off with the Cup Series. Mason, Denny Hamlin gets it done for the first time this year, obviously after probably one of the longest off seasons he's had, longest and shortest, I'm sure, for him to get back into race car. Awesome to see him get back into lane. The moment with his family, sits fourth in the point standings and clearly has not lost a step.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, that was one of the definitely the cooler Denny Hamlin wins that we've seen. And, kind of it made me reminisce on the last time we were in Vegas when he won and he knew, like, hey, his father didn't have long, to be around. And the trials and the tribulations that Denny's been through, over the offseason and towards that last half of the year were really just sucky. There's no other way to put it. And I think the whole industry kind of was feeling for him and has been thinking about him. So it was definitely really cool to see him get that win, kind of get the confidence back, the momentum back. Not that he's lost it, but just to see him have a victory in a time period where it's been tough for him. So great to see Denny Hamlin back in victory lane. Always is going to be a contender no matter what. Still is on his A game. And I expect still some big things from him this year. Everybody's been saying since after Phoenix, man, this might be a redemption arc for Denny if push comes to shove.
Indeed. How about you, Tanner? What are your thoughts on Hamlin getting back in victory lane? Joe Gibbs Racing doing the same as well.
I mean, him winning this race after that early speeding penalty in the pits is kind of crazy. This is, you could say, his little redemption arc that he's having. And lots of media that I've read after this race saying, oh, what a boring race. But I thought it was one of the better races just because there was only one caused caution. That's good racing when there's not wrecks all over the place and overtakes and stuff like that. I think that was a good race filled with good racing, and congrats to Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, indeed. I certainly didn't think it was a bad race. I think certainly not having the cause cautions. It's nice. It's nice to have a race play out naturally. I did think it was mid. The race, in my opinion, I hate the next gen car. I think there was a super vast difference between the O'Reilly race on Saturday and the Cup race on Sunday. I'm always going to be a next gen car hater. That's just in my blood. But nonetheless, solid race. Denny Hamlin gets the win. Hendrick Motorsports completes the podium there. So that was good to see. And then over in O'Reilly, Kyle Larson gets the job done for them. It was also announced today that Alex Bowman is not going to be in the 48. Once again, he's been out for the last 2 weeks in this race car. And so he's been suffering from vertigo. We certainly continue to wish him the best. But Justin Allgaier will run that 48 car the next 3 weeks. Bowman was supposed to run the 88 in the O'Reilly race this weekend, but now he will be replaced by Kyle Larson, which I'm sure is pretty scary for the field, considering Kyle Larson just won. Wasn't the most dominant car in the race whatsoever. I thought the way that race played out was very interesting, but nonetheless, he ended up with the victory. He's back in the car this weekend at Darlington. So certainly a lot of storylines as we go into Darlington, one of the most dynamic tracks in this series. Real quick, before we bring Austin here, Mason, from a driver's perspective, what's the first thing you think of when you head to Darlington as a driver?
Tough. It's super fast. It's super tough. 1 and 2 is so technical. 3 and 4, it's like such tight, compact racing. I mean, there's not a lot of room for error when it comes to Darlington. So being up against the wall on the long runs and being able to save your stuff, that's going to be big. Being able to capitalize on starts and restarts with newer tires is going to be big as well. So, just tire conservation is super big. It's always going to be big at Darlington. I hope that doesn't change anytime soon because I think it makes it even more action-packed, especially when we come down to the end of these races. But it's too tough to tame, and it lives to that exact saying. So excited to see what this weekend's going to hold. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is always going to put on a show. We got the Craftsman Truck Series back there this weekend, so that's always going to be exciting. And then Cup's usually pretty exciting at Darlington as well. I've always enjoyed watching the Cup races at Darlington. Is it too early to kind of pick for a Cup winner at Darlington? I mean, it's hard to argue. Chase Briscoe is probably the guy to choose here.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, he's won the last 2 fall races there with 2 different organizations. So I think that in itself is very impressive. I would say, first and foremost, he really needs that victory. They have had a terrible year as far as luck, a lot of crashes, a lot of unfortunate incidents, mechanical issues, races where you thought they were running well. It just ended up turning sour. They've had a lot of speed, picked up right where they left off last year. But a bunch of bad luck has led them to 26th in the point standings right now, and in a format now where points matter a lot more. That is certainly a storyline to keep watching for sure. So sucks that they've had all the bad luck. We're going to look at the point standings a little bit towards the middle/end of this show, but still a lot of storylines as far as drivers down there. I mean, Connor Zilich in 35th. That's certainly something that we are keeping an eye on. But nonetheless, I do want to get to Austin here if he's ready. I know he's in the room. Want to make sure he's technically ready with our technology. There he is.
Yep, I'm here. Yep.
We got him. All right.
He's made it.
Welcome in Austin Green to the show, driver of the number 87 for Peterson Racing in his first full-time season in the Riley Auto Parts Series. Second time on the Motor Stardom Show. Had to bring it back pretty early because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you have learned in these 5 quick weeks. First of all, just kind of take us through what this year's been like for you. Obviously, we're 5 weeks into a 33 race season, so we still got a bit to go. But I know you've learned a lot in this short time.
Yeah, I mean it's been tough for sure. Obviously, not the start to the year that I've wanted. Geez, sorry, I was getting a call. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, it's been tough. You know, obviously we haven't gotten the results that we've wanted to, but you know, I kind of always look at the brighter side, and you know, each race we're always running top 15 right there at the end, and then something that's kind of out of my control, the team's control, happens. And then we don't really get the finish we want or deserve. So, but I mean, as y'all know, it's just a racing deal, and you're gonna have good days and bad days. So, hopefully our luck can turn around, and we'll see this weekend at Darlington.
Yeah, take me through Daytona. I mean, I know that was such a bummer. We talked after the race of how, guess had speed, car was up there. You know, you go to make a move, seemingly like I can't remember exactly what part of the race that was, but seemingly just a normal move. All right, going to make a pass on the car in front of you, but the arrow was kind of beefing with you there. It seemed on that move. Kind of take us all through that, and just again how kind of much of a bummer that was for you as a driver, where it seemed like you guys were kind of in the right position. Chaos can happen at the end of those races, but that incident happens. And what do you kind of learn from that?
Yeah, Daytona was I've never been there. So I did the ARCA test with PRG in January just to try to get, you know, some laps, get more familiar with it. You know, but that was more like single car stuff, and not really pack racing per se. So on the O'Reilly side, you know, I thought in the race, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, the draft and the pack and everything. And I told my crew chief, Jody, before, I was like, you know, the one thing I'm kind of not scared about, but like nervous is, you know, I'm new, right? It's first full-time season. So I was just nervous that no one was going to help me. And that kind of was the case. So I would try to just put myself in situations where, you know, like they kind of had to go with me. And then, yeah, that spin incident, I don't know. I mean, I was on the top line with the 48, and I tried to pull away to get to the inside and try to make that run. And then we just, I don't know, arrow or whatever it was. We just touched, semi-spinning, no caution. So had all 4 flats and then went 3 laps down. And then at that point, it's, as y'all know, it's kind of impossible to come back from that. So that was a bummer.
Yeah. Lastly, you bring up the no caution. I kind of forget about that. Before I swing it to the boys here, you were sitting backwards. You're sitting reverse there in the apron. This was the first week of like, and we've been pretty consistent so far. I got to really give it to NASCAR of kind of holding the yellow, not throwing it right away as soon as somebody touches a wall or you see smoke, they were holding them. But the big test is Daytona because that's the biggest safety, place, obviously highest speeds. What was that like in your head where you spin out, and were you thinking as soon as you spun out, like, okay, this sucks, but there's going to be a caution and we'll be able to kind of get right back into it? And then as time, went by and you're backwards seeing cars come towards you and there's no caution, you're like, oh shoot, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, I mean, I pull down, make the move, and then we have the contact. So obviously in the moment, I'm trying to gather it up because I didn't want to hit the inside wall. So thankfully got the thing turned around. And then once I got it turned around, I'm spinning back towards the track and I'm kind of looking out the right side and I'm seeing, I don't know, probably a pack of 5 cars coming. So that was a little sketchy. And then, yeah, obviously all the tires are blown out there. I don't know. I mean, I definitely thought there would be a caution in that moment, but then there wasn't. So try to fire it back up, get going. Obviously couldn't have picked a worse place to spin out furthest away from pit road. So, I mean, at that point you just try to limp it back and try not to blow the fenders off of it, with all the flat tires. So, I don't know. I mean, looking back on it, if I could do it over again, probably just stay in line and ride for a little bit, but I don't know. It's part of it.
That's fair. Part of it. I was going to swing it to Mason, but it looks like he's been taken by the shadow rum. So I'm swinging to Tanner here. Tanner, go ahead with your question for us.
So you've never raced at Darlington before, and I want to know or ask what your team strategy, like what strategy looks like coming into Saturday. Like what's the goal here? I don't know where you're starting at, but when it's a big race. It's 1.3 mile track, I believe. So it's pretty quick. What's the strategy there?
Yeah. So last year we attempted Darlington. Unfortunately didn't make the show. So, I guess I got 20 laps in practice there and then 1 lap in qualifying, but, yeah, kind of like what y'all were talking about before with Mason was, I mean, that place is probably one of the toughest that we go to. So I don't know. I think it's probably a combination with, the fall off and, how narrow it is. I don't know, I'm excited to see, what we can do now. I mean, now we have the RCR Alliance for this year. So I know the cars are a lot better. So I don't know. I mean, I've obviously been doing my homework, a lot of sim, a lot of notes, just trying to prepare as best as I can.
Yeah, it's a tough track, just like Mason was talking about. You go there. Was there anything that you did learn, in your qualifying lap last year at all that you can kind of take, or is it more so just, notes, sim time, things of that nature?
A little bit. I mean, qualifying in itself, no matter where you go, is going to be tricky, right? So, I thought in practice, our practice speed was okay. Obviously the fall off's really bad there, and I think running the part-time deal the past 2 years, and then what we've done now, kind of learning how to run the fence and all the aero stuff, I think is going to pay dividends for this weekend at Darlington. but qualifying, I mean, I'm not the best qualifier, so I've really been trying to work on that and, just kind of like flip that switch. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would like to say it's going to be a good weekend, but I'm doing the best I can do, and I know the team is as well.
Gotcha. Now that Mason is back, I will swing it to Magoo. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, technical difficulties have been amazing today so far, so it's been great. But aside from that, Austin, I know, like you had mentioned before, running a full season, and being able to kind of just be a sponge, right, and learn every single weekend. What's the approach going into every weekend? I mean, obviously, you guys have got a great relationship with RCR and Peterson. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that approach that you go to with every weekend, and what are the kind of the key things that you go into the week, or the key boxes that you try to check off every single weekend as you go to a lot of these places for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the new tracks are new to me and the team as well. Obviously it's my first full-time season, their first full-time season. So I don't know. I think the biggest thing for going to new tracks is just kind of relying on others and, trying to pick others' brains, whether it's cup guys or other O'Reilly guys, or if it's, my dad and uncles. Obviously they're a bit older, so I think the track's changed a little bit, but I don't know. I think just, calling whoever and just trying to pick their brain. Obviously Sim's a huge part of it. Looking at past year's races, my cousin Tyler, he spots with Sam Mayer, and obviously he's, one of the best spotters. So always talking with him. And then my spotter, Trey Poole, talking with him as well. He spots with Chase Elliott on the cup side. So I don't know. I think just reaching out and, like you said, being a sponge, just trying to pick everyone's brain and get as much information as you can.
Yeah, I mean, we know that's super tough. I feel like nowadays, I tell people all the time, like, I feel like it's the toughest couple of years or the toughest era to be a rookie coming into, these races for the first time, because we only have so much practice time versus what, guys had, only, 5 or 10 or 8 years ago, something like that. So, we talk about the lack of preparation, or the lack of seat time, and being able to go to these tracks and being able to, learn throughout the races, right? And that helps you build a notebook.
I agree, Mason. Yeah, for sure.
No, more technical,
good question.
more technical difficulties. So I apologize about that. It froze on my end. So, but we talked about the lack of seat time. So what, being able to go to these racetracks for the first time that we're ultimately going to go back to later in the year, how do you digest what you've learned from the first couple races, and then take, when we return to some of these racetracks later in the year, be able to capitalize on what you've learned last time into the future?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, going back to tracks we've already been to, and that's kind of what I tell, our team, and especially with my crew chief, going to a track we've never been to. Obviously you haven't, you don't have a notebook. So like Vegas this past weekend, we ran both races last year, so we had some sort of a notebook, and I've already been there. So I don't want to say like it's a confidence boost, but you kind of you're going into it not really being ground zero. We were, I think, P3 in practice and then P19 in qualifying. So I don't know. I think it's just having a notebook and having notes and laps and changes, and if something happens, here's what we're going to do, X, Y, and Z. Just, I think, being more prepared for it. And I mean, I know you know this, Mason, obviously going to a new track, new team, you're starting at ground zero. So you don't really know what to expect, but I don't know. I mean, I guess really the only track I've ever been to this year so far was Coda and Vegas. Haven't been to Daytona except for the test. Haven't been to Phoenix. Haven't been to Atlanta. So I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it's been a tough start, but I know the first couple races are going to be a little tough. So once we kind of get that ball rolling, I think we'll kind of shake out pretty good.
Yeah, you'd mentioned Coda. Are the expectations going into road course races different than when you come into the ovals? Because obviously you've done a fantastic job. I think everybody can agree on that when it comes to the road courses and just getting that extra bit out of the car. If I ever do more road course races, you're going to be one of the first guys I'm reaching out to. But are the expectations and the goals different when you go into those races versus the mile and a halves and a couple of these short tracks, super speedways?
Yeah, I think on the O'Reilly side, obviously we've done more. I mean, if you kind of look at like the grand scheme of things, we've done more of the road course stuff. Like in 24, I think we only did road courses in maybe Bristol or something. 25, majority road course, couple ovals. Now doing the full-time stuff. So the road course side, I think for myself and the team, we have more familiarity with that. And we've had good success there. So I think going into those races, obviously there's more of a confidence boost, and you kind of know what to already expect a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, I hate they took the Roval away.
I think we all do.
That was, I mean, I kind of understand, with it being like a cutoff race. I thought it made a great race, on the fan side of things. But yeah, I don't know. I always kind of ran good there, so I was kind of upset about that.
Well, we got the chase now, so I thought if anything, it was going to stay. Like we need a road course in the chase, and now all of a sudden our schedule's got a bunch of road courses, right? But then we don't have one in the chase to decide the champion. That was my biggest deal with it. I always thought it was just funny, though. I love the Roval. I thought it was just a cool concept. Like you don't really have anything like it. It's kind of like a short, not a short track road course, but like a shorter road course where I feel like it's tighter confines. Like would you say, like compared to anything else you've driven? Obviously, you've driven on a lot of road courses in your times. That's probably the shortest as far as like square units, right? And inside of a mile and a half oval, fitting a road course in there. Do you feel like that's like things were kind of tighter than anything you've raced on before?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting track. I mean, I thought the racing was good from a driving standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, I thought it was entertaining. Obviously, you had, I don't even know what corner it was, coming back on the big track in turn one, the hairpin. I mean, that was always very chaotic from a fan side of things. I don't know, like from the driving side, I mean, the fall off was really, really bad there. So, I don't know. I mean, I liked it. We always ran good there. I thought it was a good race, both driving and fan side. So hopefully they bring it back one day, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think everybody in this interview would agree that we would, if we had to vote or get a certain amount of signatures to bring the Roval back, I think we're all for it here. So I had fun whenever I ran the truck race there last year, even though we didn't have, I think we had a sway bar arm brake, which was long day, but I enjoyed it, and I've always loved it as a fan. That was a race that I went to every year since 2021. So, and then for Austin's sake, I'd bring it back for him so he can get one spot better from where he was last year, which I think me and RJ can agree because we were there in person. We all agreed. We are like, man, that's a drive right there. So, but no way.
So close.
Charlotte Roval never disappointed in my eyes.
Right.
It never did. It never did. But I want to transition from that real quick, and I'm sure we mentioned it last time you were on the show. But the Green family, as we've mentioned a few times here in racing, like there's so much of the Green family in racing. Like I think I learned more about like a Green family racing member every 4 months. It's crazy. Like when you see the name Smith across racing, there's a bunch of Smiths, but they're not all related. They're all in their, all in their own families. But if you see a Green in racing, there's probably a 90% chance that they are in your family. And like you said, you got drivers, you got NASCAR officials, spotters, photographers, like how cool is that you guys kind of, in a sense, just have a huge footprint in not only what the sport was before, but especially the sport today.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to obviously growing up in the sport, whether it's going to the track and watching dad and my two uncles race or whatever. But, now, my dad's a safety official, so he's always there. My cousin Tyler, he's a spotter, so he's always there. My sister, she works with Clear 28, the management group now, so she's always there. Mark and Jeff, my two uncles, they don't really go anymore, but I guess kind of select certain races they'll be there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a whole family ordeal, so it is kind of nice to travel around the country and then, having dad and my sister there and my cousin as well. So, yeah, like I said kind of earlier, just if I'm picking brains, it's going to be, dad and my two uncles, that have done it for way longer than I've been alive. But I don't know. I mean, it's just cool to kind of see the grand scheme of things.
So we just have to hope that they're all there for the first win, right? The first O'Reilly win.
So they were there for when I won the ARCA race at Charlotte in May. There's a family photo which I gotta find, but
that ain't the family photo, but that's your car.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. But there's there's a family photo. It was dad, my uncle Mark, all the cousins. Oh, here we go. So I mean, I thought that was like a pretty cool. I don't know if y'all can see that.
Oh yeah,
perfect. There we go.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, nothing beats having the family there for a win at the racetrack. I mean, you just can't compare it. But I know Charlotte's special for you just for the fact that you've ran, Bandoleros, Legend cars, all that stuff there. So being able to go to the big track and do it, and at the ARCA level as well, I mean that was super cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that was obviously a dream of a day. I guess it was my second ARCA start. Never been on the big track, so I had no idea what to expect. And like my two uncles and dad were kind of saying, watch out for the bumps in 3 and 4, and I didn't really bat an eye to it. And I remember the first time in practice, I went down in there, and I don't know if I just didn't have enough, like too much room with the headrest, but like my vision would go blurry over the bumps. So that was a little sketchy, but I guess I got used to it. And then it was my sister's birthday that day as well, so that was kind of cherry on top.
Oh yeah, there we go. Well, that's pretty cool. Love to hear that. We got one question in the chat for you about kind of the sim as far as, and I think this is good for you as you're going to a lot of new tracks this year that you haven't been to. How does sim time relate to actual track time as far as when you go onto the sim, you drive a track on the sim, and then you hop into the car and drive it in real life? What are the similarities, the differences between the two? Are you ever caught off guard and you're like, okay, that is not what I felt in the sim a few days ago, or are some things kind of relatable?
I mean, I think it's with the technology now, whether it's the GM sim or the RCR sim or iRacing, I think it's pretty spot on. Obviously, when you get there in real life, you're going to have like the realness factor. But I think whether, it's bumps or angles or setups or whatever it is, I think it's definitely helpful. Just to kind of get, the visuals and the feel. But like I said, when you get there, it's a little different. But I don't know. I mean, I think the sim stuff is really, really great, really positive. Dad kind of jokes with me, like back in the day. I mean, they didn't have sim, so like I couldn't imagine going to, I don't even know, let's just say like Sonoma for the first time. You're looking like at a track map, never turned a lap, and then you got to go do it in real life. I don't know. I think it's very beneficial.
Did they use video games back then at all? Like NASCAR Thunder 2004? Like, did they hop on
This is like late 80s, 90s. I don't even know if they had video games.
Back then, no, definitely not. I know maybe in the 2000s. I just wonder if they was actually like, if someone even dared to call it a simulator. Like, I'm going to just hop on Thunder 2003, let it rip, and, see what we can do. I don't know, but we'll have to ask somebody. We'll bring them on the show. But kind of lastly, before we send you off here, clearly, as you can tell, at least me and Tanner here, we're taking advantage of the holidays here in the Motor Stardom Show. So, St. Patty's Day, I'm going to get an excuse to dress all green and wear some beads. Do you have a favorite dish? Like, have you ever, you ever had like a St. Patty's dinner? I know a lot of people enjoy some food at night. Like I had a Reuben sandwich earlier. It's pretty good, and some corned beef, but any dish you think of when you think of St. Patty's Day, or you kind of just...
I have no idea, honestly.
Nothing.
I mean, I guess a Reuben's pretty good. I've had one of those before.
I don't know the set list of what people have in St. Patty's Day. I don't know if anybody else can help me here, Mason or Tanner.
I can't help you. To be honest, I didn't even know that you had like certain St. Patty's Day meals. I just knew, oh yeah, you dressed up in green like growing up. That's all I knew it as. And then as I got older, I was like, oh wait, there's like green colored beer now. And I just figured that's all it was just like a fun holiday. I didn't know we had like traditional foods and other stuff like that. Like this is all news to me. So I'm learning as we go. I don't know.
I'm the only one thinking of food here, is what you're saying.
Yes, I've never even heard of someone sitting down like, all right, St. Patrick's Day dinner. Let's eat our St. Patrick's Day food.
I'm honestly shocked that we have like a diehard St. Patty's Day fan where like they're actually taking a bunch of stuff seriously and creating a bigger tradition than I thought it was. I don't know. It's throwing me for a loop.
That's fair. All right. Well, anyways, I'll scrap the question for everybody else on the show later. I'm glad we got that out of the way. But Austin, I guess the last thing I will throw at you is we'd have three of the more, I guess, I don't know what to call them, traditional, classic, very throwbacky racetracks on the NASCAR schedule, where we go to Darlington, then we go to Martinsville, then we go to Bristol, a place where you seemingly have had some decent experience at. As we're points racing, right? This is what we're doing now. We're points racing more than we were before. Obviously, I'm sure if I were you, I would have been pissed at Coda when the car starts sounding weird, because I know that was the place that you guys certainly have circled to get some good points. But what is your outlook as you guys put together a full season here? Because there's so much you're going through as far as you as a driver, you're learning, you're going to new racetracks, but you guys as a team obviously want to finish in the best points position possible. What is the balance like in your head as you go to these racetracks and you kind of truck along this season as far as like good points days? And what would you say is a good points day for you guys and your team where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, like my team owner, Doug Peterson, and, everyone at 3 Motor Service Group, he's always saying, it's points racing, like big picture. So now with the new format and, I don't know. I mean, the 20th, 25th place finishes aren't good. I mean, obviously I don't want to do that. And I know they don't like that as well. But, obviously that beats wrecking. And, you look at some of these races, especially at the end, they get very chaotic and people wreck. And then, that's a couple extra points. So I don't know. You always have to think long term now. Obviously the road course stuff, I think, if we can finish top 5, hopefully go for a win, but I think top 5 would be a pretty good day. On the oval side, kind of like I mentioned earlier, I mean, every race this year, we've been top 15 until something out of everyone's control happens. So I think realistically, I mean, a top 15 on an oval would be pretty good, whether it's points or whatever. Especially this early on, you just keep, building that momentum. But yeah, I don't know, just can't thank all of them enough. And like I said, we'll see at Darlington here. I know it's tricky, so hopefully we can get a good result out of it.
You mentioned Doug Peterson. Is he ever obviously he made a big jump to go to the O'Reilly series, years back, ran a race, then a few races. Now we're full time. So you ever thought about buying a next gen car to let you go run a road course race and get a checkered flag, or what?
I don't know. I think our main
Maybe
focus
one day.
is O'Reilly side right now.
Oh yeah, maybe one day we'll see. That's the goal, though. Obviously, is to see you in the Cup Series one day. So thank you for coming on the show once again. Best of luck in these certainly dynamic group of tracks here coming up. Like we said, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol. I'll see you over there in Martinsville in person. I'm gonna try hot dog for the first time. Have you tried one of those? No, you hot dog guy?
I don't really eat hot dogs, but I will have a singular Martinsville hot dog. Yeah, I mean you can't go to Martinsville and not get one.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
kind
the
of
biggest fan of a hot dog, but you gotta at least try one.
Sounds fair. Well, we'll all be eating at least one hot dog in Martinsville. Thank you, Austin, for coming on, and we will talk to you soon. Best of luck here in the future.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. That was Austin Green, driver of the number 87 for Peterson Racing over there in the O'Reilly series. Would certainly love to see him in a Cup car on a road course someday, but they are obviously have their hands full with the O'Reilly series this year full time. So it was really cool to have him on. They right now sit 22nd in the point standings. Could have been much higher, obviously, if not for that gutting issue over there at Coda. But cool guy, great family. They have a lot of greens in the sport. If you could not tell from that picture, I'm glad he found that. Just the people that were at the racetrack that day for his race win was a lot of fun. So John K's in the chat. Motor Stardom Martinsville hot dog review. You probably will get one.
Yes.
Me and Mason will be on the grounds. I will be
100%.
going to Martinsville. My first time there. I am excited to try a hot dog for the first time. Whenever Tanner can get to Martinsville at some point, I know he will probably enjoy the Martinsville hot dog. I don't know if I haven't done as much research, if there's a set like toppings you got to put on it, what automatically comes on it. I know I've seen pictures and it looks like the messiest dog I've ever seen. But, as we've learned in the past, I got to stop talking about hot dogs on this show. Anyways, we got about 12 minutes until we head off for a break here. So we're going to talk about a few things. But the first thing we're going to talk about is our weekly segment that we do, sponsored by Control Alt Protect. And it is the What Are We Doing segment of the week. What Are We Doing segment of the week. And this week it was something that Mason apparently got a front row seat to. And that was the safety truck doing burnouts on the front straightaway of Las Vegas. I don't know what led to this, if the track was just, a little bit slippery, or he just thought he was trying out for a Ram truck. I don't know. That 25 might have a few races. The 10 truck has a lot of races that are open coming up here seemingly. But I thought that was pretty funny. There were a lot of obviously events that took place this weekend at Las Vegas, but that was the very much so. What are we doing? Because, I mean, thank goodness he's a wheelman apparently and saved it. But like, what if he didn't? What if he did? There's a lot of stuff on that truck there, and as you can see here in this freeze frame, that probably would have not been very good and made a lot of highlight reels. We've already seen things back in 2012 with a jet dryer that wasn't the jet dryer driver's fault. But Mason, you had a front row seat to this somewhat, I guess, on pit road. Seemingly you had some audio that we couldn't pull up between you and Mario. But what was going through your head when you saw what
I
the hell.
did. I really wish we could have pulled up the audio because it was really, really funny in the moment. I'm not even joking. I'm literally we're on pit road. We're making adjustments. I think somebody had blown up, and that's the reason why they were out there. And I'm literally sitting there and watching this all unfold, and I'm not on the button, but I'm just going, oh, he saved it. And then my spotter comes over the radio, and he's like, I could not have been the only one that just saw that safety truck pull off that save. And I was like, dude, he was freaking wheeling it. And it was like the funniest thing ever. And I'm glad that that guy was able to save it. Hope he gets a shot in the 25 Ram truck, the open seat truck, because he deserves it after that one. But no, man, it was super funny to see in person, and I gotta say, it was just it was a hoot, that's for sure. Especially when it made the red flag more entertaining than it needed to be.
Yeah, 100%.
That didn't look very accidental the way he was swerving that thing back and forth. He might have did it on purpose,
right?
Well, I mean, the weird part for me was like he went from pit road, then like used the like the I don't know, the Bandolero or the Legend car portion of the track and got back onto the big track. And I don't know if he carried too much throttle and had a handful of steering wheel or what, but good thing he didn't crash that because that would have been a pretty expensive fix from the sounds of it on NASCAR's side. But definitely was rooting from that guy from the driver's seat to save it. And by God, he did.
What do you think people said to him after he parked the car? You know, he goes around, he comes back. People are probably like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
You probably got
probably the same thing we just said. What are you doing?
Yeah, I would imagine like a mixed bag of like, "What are you doings?" and "Dude, that was awesome," kind of thing. Like I think it was like
promoted. Like, you know, there's no way he's staying.
You know what? That's a great point, RJ. Did he get promoted or demoted? That's for the fans at home to decide.
Exactly.
So I don't know, but I hope that guy is doing well, and because a lot of memes were made out of that. That was very popular on Twitter from what I saw, and it was really funny from the driver's seat to witness. That's for sure.
Well, it's a day full of corned beef for St. Patty's Day. Apparently, I'm the only one that knows that here in the call. But there was some beef on the racetrack on Sunday, and I want to talk about this to lead up before we head into the break here. Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain. Now, this was something that we had already talked about on the show as far as Trackhouse versus Daniel Suarez, or I should say Daniel Suarez versus Trackhouse. Seems like he almost kind of had a vendetta. Bowman Gray was pissed off at SVG, said he was going to go kick his ass. And then over at Coda, had a run-in with Connor Zilic twice. Spun him into turn one, and then afterwards, the two kind of exchanged fender banging, and then he seemingly almost tried to spin him out there. And then we go to Las Vegas, where they didn't have the craziest run-in on the track, but it led to a pit road conversations. From everything that we've learned, Suarez walked over, tried to talk about it because Ross Chastain gave him the finger. So it seemed like he was kind of, I don't know what, whether he was from Ross's angle. It seemed from what Ross said today, a few hours ago, he said Daniel wasn't really explaining anything. It seemed like he was just coming over to start a problem, wasn't taking accountability. Ross says that he's never taken accountability, which is always very interesting. And then Ross, it seemingly in that moment, he did say he regrets some of the things he said, putting his hand on him. But let's take a listen to what Ross said to Daniel on pit road. Oh! Yeah, you got fired. Now, I found that at 1:30 in the morning. I was chilling, couldn't go to sleep, doom scrolling. And look, I won't gloat about a lot of things, but let me tell you, if there's beef, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I believe I am in the top 1% of beef finders in the NASCAR garage. This is why I cannot wait to get to Martinsville. I will find some beef, not just in between the hot dog buns. I will find beef on the racetrack in the O'Reilly race or the Cup race, whatever it may be, or the modified race the night before. I don't really care. But I tuned up the audio from Ross Chastain's car, and I'm like, let me listen real quick. Let me bump this up and see what he said. And I was like, you got fired. I was like, damn, that's a shot. That's a shot. That's a rage bait shot if I've ever heard one. And it's interesting. People have been going back and forth of like, okay, if these guys scrapped, okay, Suarez said he would have fought him, but didn't want to get fined $50,000. And then after that, this is all today in SiriusXM, said that even if they would have fought, quote, Ross would have been done in 5 seconds. So clearly he is claiming he can beat Ross's ass. Sometimes people on the other side, people are like, okay, Ross Chastain, isn't that the guy that gave Noah Gragson a right hook on pit road? Is that the guy you want to mess with? So, I mean, me personally, I think this would be a very interesting fight. Clearly, none of them want to do it because it's, $50,000, $75,000. Thanks, NASCAR. But what do you guys make of this beef here? I'll start with Mason. Again, we've talked about this before. Do you think Suarez is realistically bitter? Number one, bitter with Trackhouse. We kind of know that, but is he seemingly taking it to the racetrack here and not having any remorse for these guys and kind of on a revenge tour per se?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I touched on it a couple weeks ago, right? I think Daniel's got a chip on his shoulder, realizing, okay, like, going from Trackhouse, who's a pretty well-established organization, right? They're still in the growing phase. They're not quite the Hendricks or the Joe Gibbs or the Team Penske's of the world, but they're getting there, right? They're definitely a team that's always going to compete and always be in the running somehow, somewhere, right? And you go from a team like that to a team like Spire, who, granted, is improving, but when you compare the two organizations, it's a step down, right? And as a race car driver, you're always wanting to figure out how to get yourself in a position to make a step up. I think Daniel is probably a little bit, bitter and a little bit frustrated for sure. I think any race car driver would when you go from go to a step down in a sense. But I feel like Ross and Daniel have kind of had mixed emotions about each other for a while, and I think it's been clear over the last couple of years when you really kind of dive into their relationship and their teammate dynamic. And I think now that, they're not on the same team anymore, I feel like now Daniel's able to kind of word his frustration on Ross, whatever that may be. I don't really know, but they never really got along even when they were teammates. So it was kind of, in my eyes, I was honestly shocked that it took them this long to run into each other in a sense, just because of the fact that it was always such a hit or miss relationship. So to my point, though, I think Daniel's got a chip on his shoulder to perform this year because I don't think there's any guarantee for the future for him. So being able to execute in this ride is going to be big, but I don't think taking out your frustration on your previous team is the greatest look if you're a race car driver and you're trying to get back up to that step. But I'm curious to see. But I do got to give Daniel some credit. He's done a pretty good job this so far to start the year in that 7 car compared to where it was last year. So got to give credit where credit's due, but I definitely think there's a chip on his shoulder to perform and also outperform his Trackhouse. But it's still a long season to go, and if you're going to be able to scrap, we should let them scrap. I wish NASCAR would have let them. It would have been entertaining as a fan, but at the same time, in a sense, I put that in my control or protect segment of what are we doing, not letting these guys voice their frustrations. That's part of the sport. If you're not doing that, then we got no personality. So, but I'm curious to see if this will transpire further into the season. We know that he's had a couple run-ins with some of the Trackhouse drivers, but we still got 32 races or 34 races or something like that left on the year, if I remember correctly. I mean, RJ, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So we still got a long way to go. There could be some more beef happening throughout the season. We just, I guess in our case, we just got to sit back and watch and see what transpires from here.
Oh, there will be so much beef. There will be so much beef. We got Martinsville coming up. We got Bristol right after Martinsville. There's so much opportunity for beef. If you thought you saw enough beef on a mile and a half, wait till we get to the short tracks where we will also have more horsepower as well. These next 3 weekends will be 750 horsepower. So maybe the Cup Series can try to put on maybe at least somewhat of a good race, as good as the O'Reilly Series these next few weeks, but we will find out. Tanner, real quick, what do you make of Daniel Suarez being pissed off at Trackhouse? And will we see a fight here soon?
I think from a fan's perspective, seeing like rivalries like this where two drivers really don't like each other is good to see, because everyone always complains about no personality and stuff like that. But seeing videos like this of two drivers just in each other's face, just going at it, I mean, Mason said outside of the fine, NASCAR should just let them duke it out, and someone left a comment saying, put an octagon in the pit road for two drivers to duke it out. I think that'd be fun. I mean, it's just seeing two drivers really dislike each other, just go at each other. I mean, if you're trying to move yourself up and look good for other teams, this is definitely not good on Daniel Suarez's part. You got to kind of clean up your act a little bit, make people want you more. But I think a rivalry like this, not really rivalry, but two guys that just hate each other, or two teams, a team and Daniel Suarez hating each other, is kind of good for the sport and fun to watch.
Yeah. I think Garrett Swithley actually brought it up last year about how, in our interview with him on the in-person show where they had an octagon back in 2017, 2018, something like that. Like, we need to bring it back. He touched on it, and I remember him saying we need it for our group in the sport. I mean, shoot, I pay money to go watch that and go see some scraps. I'd probably stay for more Cup races if I knew, we got the octagon. What if somebody gets mad at each other? They can duke it out and then shake hands afterwards, or maybe we go for round 2 a couple weeks down the road. Who knows? But I'd be curious to see something like that. It's bound to happen eventually, right?
Exactly. Hopefully, eventually. One can hope. We want some fights back in NASCAR, not hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. But nonetheless, we're going to take a 3-minute break here. We will be back at the top of the hour to talk to Carson Ware, who almost had a scrap at somebody at Daytona. We're going to talk about that. We've been waiting a little bit to talk about it. We're going to talk about it when he gets on the show here, top of the hour, 7 o'clock. See you guys. We have changed wardrobes here on the Motor Stardom Show for hour 2. St. Patrick's Day celebration is over because the United States is playing baseball tonight in the finals. We're going for gold. So had to throw on this fit here. We took the green off. So we are ready for that game tonight. But we still got an hour left of this show. And we got Carson Ware to talk to. We got Ryan Ellis to talk to. Let's roll the boys back in here one by one. And then the fourth guy. This guy has won 2 late model races in the last 2 weeks. Over there killing it. Decided, I'm going to just go Daytona. We're going to get a top 20 finish. And then I'm just going to go dominate the late model scene over at Caraway and at Hickory. Which I feel are some pretty tough racetracks. Never raced on them in person. But enough hyping you up. How you doing, Carson?
What's up, boys? How are y'all doing, man? I'm doing good.
We are doing fantastic here. We're dressed in green to start. Then I had a question for everybody. I was asking what everybody's favorite. I was going to ask everybody what their favorite St. Patrick's Day dish was. And then nobody had one because nobody thinks about, I'm the only one that thinks about food apparently when it comes to St. Patrick's Day. So we've scrapped that question for everybody. We're focused on ball now. Go USA tonight. But anyways, let's talk about this late model success here, man. Because you have gone out in the 51 Rick Ware late model. Obviously you guys won an owners championship. Over there in the Cars Tour, which you both here on my right were a part of, technologically speaking. Congratulations, Mason. I don't think I ever really congratulated you for that owners championship. But you guys get an owners championship over there, and now you start the year rifling off some victories in the late model, obviously in their in respective series. How has that been for you? People talk about seat time, just going out racing. You're not only going out racing, but you're getting checkered flags too. How much of a confidence booster is that for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a huge confidence booster. I'm just trying to follow up Mason's success that he had in the 51 late model for Rick Ware Racing.
Yeah.
So, it's been great. The stuff that the schedule that I have this year with the O'Reilly series, it has variables and things change and stuff. So one of the positives that our RWR short track program has provided is consistent seat time and race winning capable equipment, and that seat time at short tracks is extremely valuable. And I think as a driver, the standard that we want to have is to go out and win every race. But I'm just really focused on bettering my craft behind the wheel and becoming a better driver. That's my focus this year, is just trying to be the best driver I can and learn everything I can. And, thankfully we've been able to, capture 2 wins so far, and hopefully we can continue on that streak.
Exactly. That polo's giving me Cody vibes, man. I've been seeing Cody wear that polo for years. That color with RWR on the side. That's the iconic. I mean, Rick too. Obviously, it's the iconic RWR polo. But talk about real quick some of the tracks you've won at too. I don't know, obviously, what your arsenal as far as all the different late short tracks that you've been able to win on. But I mean, just talk about Hickory for starts. Obviously, to start your year in the late model with a victory that way. I mean, how cool is it to win at that track? I hear, are they repaving it soon? Right.
Yeah, so that's what I think they mentioned in the late model stock meeting. I think if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, I thought they said possibly in June. Which is a big surprise to everybody, right? The history of Hickory, and it's definitely known for its aggressive, abrasive, and bumpy track. But it was cool to get the win there. I've always really struggled at Hickory. That place is tough to get around, and I didn't fire off the same way Mason has there. So luckily I got a little bit of his skill that he left for me behind the wheel, and was able to capture my first win at Hickory. So that was really cool, and that's a pretty special place to get a win at. So I'm thankful that we were able to pull it off, and our guys at RWR build insanely fast pro late models, and I'm very glad I was able to deliver a good finish.
Yeah, I'm gonna swing to the boys here for questions to get started. Let's get started with Mason Maggio. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the amount of seat time that you're going to have this year between the pro late model and then hopping into the O'Reilly car with Barrett Cope Racing. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that, how different the race cars are from jumping into a pretty lightweight straight rail pro late model car to jumping in a big heavy, stock car on the O'Reilly side, and kind of the similarities and the differences that are able to help you, develop as a driver.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's I'd say I'd say the most relatable thing with that is like, just being in the seat consistently, right? That's always going to benefit, anybody as a driver. And, that was one thing that, in the past couple of years, I was, hop into an O'Reilly car, and then a few months down the road wouldn't be in the car. And then I'd hop into a pro late. And, when you're racing against the best guys at these short tracks and racing against the best stock car drivers in the world on the national level, it's very, both sides of it are extremely competitive, and you can't expect to hop into one of those cars either or and go battle and run up front with those guys, right? So I'm just thankful that I can learn a lot and enjoy that constant seat time, and like I said, to just be a better race car driver. And the racing style is a lot different from hopping into the pro late and racing up front for wins to managing your expectations. And as I've had limited starts in the O'Reilly car, I'm still learning a lot. And now that I've had sim time at RCR and working with Chevrolet and ECR engines, I feel like my craft behind the Xfinity or the O'Reilly car is getting a lot better. So I'm excited for these races that we have coming up, and applying what I've learned with my driver coach Jordan Black this year, and having him on board has been a huge help. And a lot of the things that we're working on the pro late side have to, they go hand in hand with both types of race cars, right? So I'm just thankful to have some tools in the toolbox that I can put to use this year, and keep learning.
Yeah, you talk about that relationship with Chevrolet, right? With RWR making the switch over and partnering with RCR and ECR engines. You talk about the differences and honestly, just really the benefits of having more resources at not only Cody's disposal on the Cup side, but also for yourself as well, because that's been you and I have talked about it, and you said that's been huge with being able to come into these races with more preparation and even a little bit more confidence. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that as well, and kind of the different mindset that you've had going into those races since that partnership has started.
Yeah, absolutely. The care and attention to detail that RCR and Chevrolet and ECR engines has given us already at the start of this year has been phenomenal. They immediately felt like a home, and the resources and the things that they've allowed me to use at my disposal have been extremely helpful. Just leading into the Rockingham test, right? I'd never had sim time before, and got to work with Peter and their engineers over at RCR, and they spent hours with me, working on the setup, track, lines, braking, and lifting points. And it was very welcoming as soon as I showed up there, and they've been a huge help to our organization as Rick Ware Racing. And, I'm excited to see what the rest of this year holds for not only me, but, Cody on the Cup side, and all the things that we're doing with Chevrolet. So, like I said, man, I feel like we're at home, and, they've been awesome to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you talk about, the late model schedule and going and running Carolina Pro, and then going and running Cars Tour. We've what can we expect to see you next, man? I mean, obviously it's been really cool to see you up front winning races. It's always a blast. Obviously, we know you and your family work hard and building those race cars, and that's a great group over there, the RWR short track program. So kind of talk to us about your goals and expectations on that side of the fence, as well as maybe your goals and expectations this year with Barrett Cope Racing.
Yeah, for sure. Like the expectation that I've set for myself this year with the short track stuff is like, I just want to become a better driver and be a better driver by the end of the year. Right. And, that whether that looks like, winning races on Saturdays, or, maybe I go to a track that I haven't been particularly good at in the past, and I end up finishing, fourth or third compared to seventh or eighth. Right. I just want to constantly make progress, right? However that looks. And I just want to get better as a driver. So, as racers ourselves, right, Mason, it's like, the expectation that we want to set for ourselves, it's an easy go-to, is we want to win every weekend, right? But
right.
That, the reality of that is, running against the best guys in the country in the Cars Tour and these other series, it's hard to go out and win on the weekends, right? So, I just want to keep making progress and moving forward. And, as far as the O'Reilly schedule stuff goes, like, I just, like I said, by the end of the year, I just want to be a better driver behind the wheel of those cars. And, they definitely drive a lot different than the pro lates. So, definitely some comfortability and driving style things that I'm working on, they're a little bit different from both cars. But like I said, the information and the resources with Chevrolet and ECR and RCR have been, top of the line and extremely useful. And I'm excited to, keep using those tools this year and see what we can make of it.
Yes, sir. Well, Carson, meet Tanner. Tanner here in the middle. I grew up with him. He is getting back into the sport of NASCAR, studying it this year and last year as well. And he's got a question for you. Go ahead, T-Pop.
So this is outside of NASCAR, but I hear you're big on music. What kind of music? What is genre music go to? And if you play any, what got you into that?
So, okay. So like my music so what I listen to on a daily basis can jump so far in different directions. So like, I'll say an instant go-to for me, I'm a huge Lucky fan. Okay. I love Lucky. I'm a huge Lucky fan. I have been since probably, I want to say 2017. But like, I listen to a lot of pop punk alternative stuff. Like, the stuff like you hear now with like Jelly Roll and MGK that are putting out. And I also listen to like, My Chemical Romance and Green Day and Fall Out Boys and all that kind of stuff. So it definitely ranges, to like new school rap and old school stuff to new age pop punk alternative to throwback stuff. So it really just depends on my mood. Like, before I, go to the gym, I'm probably listening to some different stuff than on the drive back. And, I've been getting into a little bit of country lately, which is outside of the box, particularly on the normal for me. So it varies, man, but I love music. I'm a huge fan of music. I think that, I've really enjoyed making music and, it's a form of therapy for me and it's an outlet that I've found that I really enjoy. And I have a lot of appreciation for artists and the people who create music too.
Oh, I feel like to really enjoy music, your taste has to expand like really far so that you can really appreciate each genre. Like I used to be like only rap guy, and now I listen to a good mix of rap, country. I hopped on the late train of Radiohead probably like 2-3 years ago, and that's a great alternative grunge kind of band there.
Yeah.
Older rock, like I grew up on Nickelback. I appreciate I appreciate all kinds of stuff like that. So I think that's really cool.
I love it, man.
This Lucky guy, I've like I don't really hear of him. I didn't know. I haven't listened to much. My little brother though went to his concert here, like in Clearwater, Florida. Or St. Pete, I think like a year ago or so. And it was the first time I'd heard of him. And then he was posting the concert videos and everything. Looked pretty sick. Looked like there was a good crowd there. A lot of people. Like he's got Lucky merch. So I guess I'll have to check it out. Like what kind of genre would you say it is, Carson?
So like I don't want to say it's like underground rap because I think like the idea of underground rap now has changed a lot from like kind of like the SoundCloud era stuff, but it's like it's like a very wavy, chill, melodic rap, essentially. Like that's kind of how I would describe it. He's very calm, like doesn't get super hype, but just like his flows and the beat selection is like really what attracted me to him and why I became a fan of him. And through my journey of like recovery and a lot of my struggles on that side of things, too, like a lot of the things he talks about I can relate to. So obviously when you listen to music, right, you like to, relate to it and be able to, vibe with it. Right. So, yeah, man, I've never been to a Lucky concert and I want to go so bad. Hopefully I'll have a concert in Charlotte or sometime soon, but, yeah, I'm a big Lucky guy.
All right. Can we all agree here for just like 1 second? Tanner, you brought up Nickelback. I feel like just because the internet says to hate him, doesn't mean you should because they make great music. I used to think, they must not be that good, right? If the internet's saying they're not. Nah, as I've gotten older, like the peak. We got to agree on that. Nickelback hate is so forced, and you can't change my mind. So
it's timeless.
I just had to put that out.
Timeless.
It is timeless. That's the
timeless.
thing. It's timeless. A lot of good songs. I discover more and more of their songs like every day. It seems like, and I'm just like, man, banger, banger, banger. Like, what are you gonna do? It was the same thing when I discovered Carson's music. I was like, man, banger, banger, banger. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Not even just Nickelback. I feel like that entire era, or like those years of music, was some of the better music that you're not going to hear nowadays that people make anymore. You know, your parents will bring up music that you listen to now. And it's like, oh, this is nothing like I used to listen to, and they don't make stuff like this anymore. And it's because they don't. You know, you don't hear bands making Nickelback related stuff anymore. You know, you could say the same thing about old rock. You don't hear an AC/DC or like Led Zeppelin kind of band anymore. You know, all those older rock bands are so relevant because no one else does it.
Well, yeah, and like the music from back then too, like, you know, there's songs that I know we all have on our playlist, and no matter where we're at in life, how old, how young, those songs are always going to be bangers, right? But like, you know, with the new era of music and kind of where it's at, like I feel like the lifespan of music is a lot shorter now, and there's always new stuff coming out. There's always, and like, you know, there's kind of this thing where like, you know, there's a time and place where like some music sounds really good and you're at a different place in life, or just kind of that's the vibe for that time frame. And like, there's songs that I listened to back in the day that like I haven't probably thought about playing once nowadays. But like the Chemical Romances, the Nickelback, like all that kind of stuff, man, I'll throw on one of those songs today and be jamming my head like it just came out 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's that era of music is a lot different, and I'm kind of bummed that we haven't really experienced much of that lately, but who knows, you know, whenever we're older, we might have some new age bangers, right? So
maybe. I think we all just got to make a band. That's kind of what I'm getting here. I mean, Carson, you're already into music, you know, I can rip the keyboard, you know. I just need verification here from the two other boys. What instruments can you guys play? Tanner?
I can play. I can't say I can play the piano, but I could pick up and learn a song on the piano. Like if we were doing strictly like cover songs, I could probably learn a cover on the radio or on the piano, but I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to actually learn keys and everything and what everything else means. But if we're doing like covers,
so can you read music? Like, can you read music sheets?
No. It would have to be like visual tutorial, like this key here, this key there, and then I'll just do that.
That's how I learned.
Hey, it's tough regardless though. Whether you're reading music or getting a tutorial from a YouTube video, it's still not easy, man.
Yeah, them YouTube tutorials got me through them childhood days, you know, or I just listen in my head and just be like, you know, pitch correction. Mason, what can you play? Yeah. I know you played some back then.
I played trumpet in elementary school, and it lasted like but it lasted 2 weeks because I like got tired of waking up at like crack of the dawn to get to my music classes. So I was like, yeah, I'm done. I quit after that. But that was very short-lived. That was a very short-lived time. But I don't know. I'm always open to learning new stuff. I feel like more and more. I mean, music's been speaking to me a lot the last couple of years with the similar bands to what Carson's mentioned. So I love that kind of music, and I love to figure out a way. I've got a couple buddies that are actually, you know, trying to be up and coming in that genre of music as well. So I got a lot of good coaches between Carson and those other couple friends as well. So I'm open to trying it. If everybody's down, I'll do it.
NASCAR World loves music, man. I know Brad Perez, shout out to him. I think he just DJ'd over in Toronto, from what I saw, I believe.
Yep.
How about that? He's I know he's a big music guy. So
he knows ball. Brad knows ball.
He knows ball. We'll get it. We'll get a band together, and then I got an album cover for us. Right here. This right there.
Hey, it would look like an old school rock hat if we blacked it out.
It does. Oh
yeah.
Little top hat vibes, man.
There we go. This one's something right there. I like that.
Well, it's matching with the control protect.
There you go.
Exactly.
Mason, we need to see that at the next race. We need that.
We should. I gotta find a hat. I gotta find a cowboy hat for when I go to Texas, like RJ's got.
And then I got mine from Buc-ee's, man, right when I was there in Texas. But then I told Google AI to put a St. Patrick's hat on me and a suit, and this is what it did to me.
Banger.
You look fresh though.
Yeah, it kept the logo on the hat. How about that?
The Motor Stardom Show.
RJ looks like he's about to watch his horse Secretariat run a race, man.
Oh yeah. That's big. That's
Looks
big.
like he owns a couple of race horses, man.
Hey, maybe one day. I still got to get to the horse track over here, but we'll see. But hey, so Carson, we've already talked about some beef on this show. We know the thing going on with Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain, their little chat on pit road. And, and a lot of people on Twitter were saying, man, this was the first real pit road argument we've seen of 2026. But I don't know, man. I'd kind of have to rebuttal there. I think there was something at Daytona, and we've been waiting to get you on here to talk about it. A storyline that people talked about maybe for a few days, the fan bases butting heads, people on Twitter throwing shots at you, people on Twitter throwing shots at the other Carson. For those who don't know, we had a race at Daytona. Carson Hocevar was in it. Carson Ware was in it. The two had a disagreement. Carson Hocevar seemingly used his car as somewhat of a weapon on the final lap, and Matt Weaver and a few others. I didn't. I was really pissed off about this. I was gloating earlier about my beef radar, or the beef dar, where I know where there's going to be some beef. At Daytona, it's kind of hard though, because I'm not expecting fights. I'm going to chat with all the people throughout the line that got good finishes, the storylines. Can't wait to get to Martinsville, but there's some beef at the end of pit road. You and Carson Hocevar kind of take people through that. What happened there? First off. Is it from a sequence of events standpoint per se?
Yeah. So, I'll touch on this lightly, but so the last couple of restarts of the race, I had let some of the other guys by, like the 87. I forget if Raja was down a lap or took a wave round or something, but there's a couple of restarts where I let those guys get in front of me, right? Because I wasn't trying to hold anybody up, and we had damage, and team owner orders and spotter orders and everybody, we were just trying to leave there with a good finish and start the year off on a good foot. Right. So, at the last restart, when Hocevar was behind me, I waved him by and he didn't go by. So I'm like, okay, like he's doing the same thing I'm doing. Right. Like I know he had a lot of damage from the previous incidents during the race, and I didn't know to the extent of how bad it was. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, both the Carsons in the back, just trying to survive the race. Right. So, after we took the checker flag and we got to the backstretch, I'm looking down, pulling my belts off, about to work on the window. And, what I now know, doored me pretty hard, but like, I thought like I ran into the wall or something, because like it happened so hard, so quick. I was like, I didn't think I had problems with anybody. I didn't think there was anything wrong. I didn't think I did anything wrong. Like, so I was super confused. And until he pulled in front of me and gave me the bird, I was like, okay. I was like, well, obviously this guy's not happy with me. I didn't understand why, right? So, when we got to pit road and I got out of the car, I'm a huge advocate for my guys. And, leading up to that, those guys were working long weekends and long hours every single day, getting our car ready for Daytona and also trying to prep the next race's cars, right? So, whatever the extent of the damage is, I'm just not going to be okay with somebody tearing up a race car after the race is over. I don't care how you cut it. And, I wanted to address that in person with him. I didn't care to go to social media about it or, hop on a live stream and share my opinion. I wanted to go tell him to his face how I felt about it, and that I wasn't cool with it and that I wasn't going to tolerate that, and just kind of left it be there. So, like I said, I was just trying to stick up for my guys and, just make sure I communicated that wasn't cool and I wasn't going to stand for that.
Yeah. What has the fight been like for that team? Obviously a rough stretch of weeks. It's like it's inheriting another team, but still a new start with Barracope Racing and doing the switch of drivers. Obviously Cody gets in the week after you. And now we've had a few different drivers step in that seat. What has been, kind of how hard is that for an organization, especially with limited people, to kind of keep up with all these teams in the O'Reilly series that, like, I'm sure, as 10 years ago, it was a completely different playing field as far as competitiveness in the series, to where now it's probably more competitive than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever our guys are at the racetrack, at least leading up to Daytona and after, our guys that travel from the race shop and then go to the racetrack, there's nobody else at the shop building the cars at the moment. So, when those guys get back, man, they're thrashing hard to get our next race's car ready. And, they don't have time to be hanging another door or hanging body panels and stuff because it got tore up after the race was over, right? So, The smaller funded teams work really, really, really hard for, their driver and all their guys and their team owners, to bring good race cars to the track, man. And those guys don't need to be worrying about spending extra time on something that's, as petty as on the backstretch of Daytona, right? So, that's really what got me fired up and why I was frustrated. I know, he does his own thing and he's got his own little swagger to it, right? So, more so, I just wanted to stand up for my guys. And, Barracope Racing's, we had a really good car at Daytona and had a solid day. And, given our issues in qualifying and a little bit of damage to start the race, I know Mason can relate to that. And, fortunately, ours wasn't to the extent of his. And I was just glad that we left there with a top 20. And, the last few races haven't been ideal for the team, but, everybody's rallying together and staying positive and moving forward to, continue bringing good race cars to the track and have good results. And, those guys at the shop are capable of that. And our team owners know what they're doing. And, we're just going to keep charging forward.
Yeah, Mason did have some damage to start that race. It was like the saddest show the weekend, the Tuesday after. Every guest that came on, it was like, yeah, glad to be here. But first and foremost, Mason Maggio, I'm so sorry for what happened.
I thought we moved past this, man. Damn.
Hey, I didn't come here to talk about Daytona either.
Man, I kept thinking, all right, well, we had a decent day at Vegas. We had some speed. We got an okay finish. We'll maybe talk about that. Now we're going to go back 5 weeks ago to Daytona. It's like, no, thank you. I'm good. But as they say in the industry, you'll have that in big-time auto racing. So it's part of it. But looking forward, we kind of the same deal as Carson. We had a fast car on our end with the 91 group and definitely ready to go to Talladega and get some super speedway redemption. That's for sure. But
hell yeah,
you just got to keep on chugging. That's all you can do.
You guys are up. It's the past. Carson's won 2 late model races since then. Mason's been able to have some solid races for DGM. Obviously, best effort so far this weekend at Las Vegas. Got to watch a safety truck lose its shit on the front straightaway, live in person there inside the car. So we love to hear that stuff. And Carson, before I let you go, I do want to ask you, kind of as a closing statement for you. We all go through, as somebody that runs a social media account, it's my job. We see all the bullshit out there, people. When I see people don't normally hate on me, I guess sometimes they do. Sometimes they come in my comment section, throw me.
You're kind of like the guy and just back there in the corner in the shadows with the hat tip down, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What you say me for, But for the driver, but I see it all for the drivers, the people that are out there throwing strays, this fan 1, 2, 3, 4 on Twitter with 5 followers, throwing hate, whatever. What keeps you motivated to keep going? Obviously the results on the racetrack, but you as a guy that's obviously been through a lot earlier in your career, what are those sources, inside your head, external as well, that allow you to keep pushing through and, be at a point where you still got a really bright future in this sport, especially when you keep getting checkered flags?
Yeah, man. It's, I've learned it's very good to have positive people surrounding you and people that you can call friends and family. And, I see you guys like that. And, I try to focus on the work that I'm doing for myself and trying to be the best person I can be on and off the racetrack. And, nobody's perfect. And, I understand that people can, have judgments and ideas about somebody when they don't have the full story on things and the facts about it. But at the end of the day, man, as a man and, as a man of God, I'm just trying to move forward and constantly put the best foot forward. And, I'm thankful to have good friends and family in my corner. And, at the end of the day, man, everybody's going to have haters. And, I just suggest that people don't pay attention to it and just value the opinions of those close to you. And, you'll probably be in a pretty good spot.
Yes, sir. We've certainly, I've seen all the stuff, and man, you've kept pushing through. It's been awesome to see you get some checkered flags, man. When's the next time you're in the car, or when's the next time you're going to win? I guess we should say.
Man, I hope so. I have a pro late model race, the kickoff first race of the year with IHRA this weekend at Motor Mile on Saturday.
Oh, baby. And then next time in the O'Reilly car is the Rock, right?
Yep. Rockingham is next scheduled race for me.
Sweet.
Off topic, gentlemen, but I heard my old man shout like at the top of his lungs whenever Carson was talking about his journey and focusing on himself and being the best him that he can be. My old man shouted at the top of his lungs because he's watching the show, always is, that he's a rock star and he's going to do big things. So shout out Tony Maggio.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Maggios, man.
Tony Maggio, shout out. Well, thank Carson for joining us. Thank you so much. You have a great St. Patrick's Day. Hope you enjoy the AI-generated image I made of you, and we'll get you back on here soon, my friend. Thanks for coming on.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate you boys. Tanner, it was really nice to meet you, dude. I look forward to seeing you some more, and I'll holler at you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you, Carson. Thank you.
Pleasure.
That's Carson Ware, multiple time late model race winner here in the last few weeks. But let's not stop the action here. This guy seemingly has the best setup, I guess, we've seen of the day. Mr. Big Time Tableau TV, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series journeyman, two-time top 10 scorer in the series, driver for Young's Motorsports, number 02, Ryan Ellis.
What's going on?
Yeah,
He really does have the coolest
Give it
setup,
up.
man.
Come on.
I'm jealous.
Actually, it's pretty good. We just got this built, so yeah, I'm pretty
hell
proud
yeah.
of it.
That looks fantastic.
I'm kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie. It's such a cool setup. I wish I was that cool. You know.
We got a few helmets, just a few.
This might be the because we had Stenhouse on last year and he had a crazy. I mean, that's Cup driver though. We can't really compare. It's
Yeah,
Cup
it's a different
we're
pay bracket there.
He had everything behind him, and that was a pretty cool setup. But as far as O'Reilly, we're gonna rank this one.
Got to win something.
But we're so glad to have you here, man. This has been one we've been trying to do. Obviously, tried to get you on here last year. We know you came on the podcast with myself and Tommy Joe a long time ago, and that was one of the funner episodes I know me and him did. And then you ended up driving for him, so that was certainly for a good chunk of your career. But now you're over here at Young's Motorsports. You've started off the season, pretty well. Obviously, start off highs of highs at Daytona. Getting that 6th place finish with them. Rocky road since the field beat you up at Circuit of the Americas seemingly. So that I'm sure that wasn't fun behind the wheel, but kind of talk about first how this journey has been with them and this new chapter for you.
It's been awesome. Kind of just got to know the team throughout the last month. Obviously, like you said, had a really good start at Daytona. Not a bad place to have a good start. Sorry, Mason. I know that sucked.
Damn, we were just because we just had Carson.
I know. I watched that whole thing, that episode.
Carson,
Damn it!
I heard the whole Mason story. Like we had a beer.
That's awesome.
Got the smallest beer of all time. But good start, and then I think career best finish to like the career worst 3 or 4 race stretch since. So. Kind of went all downhill from there, but hopefully can turn it back around soon. New to the group, but I have a lot of faith in the guys and like the equipment we've got there. So feel like we're positioned really well. Just got wrecked 2 races in a row with like the last 5 laps, and then had mechanical failures the last 2. So should get better from here.
It should. We'll see. I mean, talk about these tracks coming up. I mean, we've talked about it. We had Austin Green on here to kick us off, and obviously he's in a completely different shoes than you. Obviously, he's just getting started. He's learning these racetracks. But a guy that's been to these racetracks a few times, right? Darlington, Martinsville, and Bristol are our next 3 tracks. How would you describe kind of this portion of the schedule? These are all 3 tracks that will be technically in the chase. I don't know if they are for you guys. I know in the Cup Series, but very traditional racetracks, very historic racetracks. How would you describe kind of this stretch that you guys are about to go on here? And you as a driver, do you look at them as like, hey, I can make up some ground here and kind of dictate where I'm at?
I'm dumb enough to look at them all like opportunities still. They've all broken my heart. I feel like I've had good races at every track, and I've had bad races at every track. So I don't really have a favorite anymore because they've all broken my heart. But from a racing standpoint, it's about as good of a stretch as you could ask for. Darlington is, I think, top 5 for everybody. Bristol's awesome. Rockingham's cool. Martinsville is whatever we see on the last lap There's stretches where that race is awesome, and there's stretches where that race can be the most frustrating race in the schedule. So you look at what like Alpha Prime did at those races last year and getting top 5s, top 10s. And, there's a lot of opportunity in those races as a small team. But I haven't been able to pull off those top 10s at those types of tracks yet. So just got to be there in the right place at the right time. And they're all fun, though. They're all cool. And I'm just happy to not be on a red-eye flight for the first time in a month.
Well, that's good. And this partnership with Tableau TV, they came on with you. I believe was it last year or 2024 they started with you?
It's like Phoenix of 2020. God, what year? 2024. My last race with Alpha Prime.
Gotcha. And so what has this partnership been like for you? They came on board with you at Alpha Prime. They were with you for some races over at DGM, and now are a big part of your deal here at Young's. As a guy that knows how many emails you got to send, how hard sponsorship is to get, how cool is it to have, obviously as cool of a partner as they are, but just a partner in general that supports you as much as they have?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. When I had a feeling that our relationship with Classic Collision was like starting to not necessarily like, disappear, but just start to hit its peak, I knew that, I guess I constantly feel like I'm running from the end of my career. It's just a matter of like every sponsor you get, you're like, all right, that's a little bit of padding. That's one more race I can run. I know Mason can relate to that. So you never feel safe. It makes you work hard every single day. And we got in a meeting with Tableau, and they said they wanted to do a primary, and I've heard that same thing 1,000 times, and they wanted to do more. And it grew from 1 to whatever it was last year, 5 or 6 to at least 13 this year, hopefully 14, 15. And they're already signed and all set for next year as well. So I'd never thought I'd have a multi-year deal in my my career, especially a few years ago. So it's cool. I've never had an in-car camera till I think this year or last year, whenever that was. And so a lot of firsts there, and just weird still to be in commercials and all the things that they do. But, it's really, really cool to be a part of.
That's right. You are in commercials, Mr. Movie Star. But we'll swing it to Mason Maggio. Swing it to the boys here for questions. Mason,
yeah, it's funny. I was actually going to say, I swear I've seen 2 commercials with 2 guys that I've raced with over the last couple of weeks. It's been Josh Balicki with Mando, and it's been Ryan Ellis with Tableau.
Josh is better looking, yeah.
The funny thing is too, my dad and I were actually talking yesterday, and he's like, I finally looked up what that Tableau stuff is on Ellis's car. He's like, I think I'm going to get it. So he's like, we gotta get to Tony Maggio. We'll be going to you next time he's at the racetrack for that. But Ryan, something you and I talked about, funny enough, at driver introductions, and we've talked about it a bunch on the show, is how much the O'Reilly field has grown in strength and numbers that it has compared to, you were telling me a couple of years ago when you drove for BJ McLeod, how you were ticked off finishing 27th. And now here you are realizing, hey, we're going to get all that we can. And, as long as we continue to fight and continue to grow, that's wins in itself. Right. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that, because you've seen the ins and outs of it for the last several years. And, obviously it's tougher than ever. And how are you able to set goals and expectations with the changes and ultimately grow at not just as a driver, but as a team?
Mason, you're good at this, by the way. I don't know how you do it. I'm terrible at this kind of stuff. But that's a great question. I haven't found the way to set expectations, not only for myself, but like when you get into pitch meetings with sponsors and you're talking to them, it's hard. No matter how competitive you say the field is, when you finish 30th, like it sucks. There's no real like justification you truly feel like you can give them because how much they spend. But like our budget seriously would be a playoff contending team 5-6 years ago. You look at what Greg Alding did with SS Greenlight, and now SS Greenlight, I think on the long run of last year, was one of the like lower tiered teams that was full time. So I've lived and seen a lot of these teams slowly die off of the bottom of the grid and seen the top half just get stronger and stronger. It's just nuts. Like I think being top 20 in driver points a few years ago wasn't that unfathomable, but now it's like it seems impossible if you're not named Brendan Poole to not be, to be up there in lower tiered equipment. So, yeah, I really am trying to figure out the goals thing every single week. And I feel like I'm making excuses before the race even starts. Like you said, at driver intros, just trying to figure out where we should finish each week, because it just changes so much, especially when you get those like Hendrick guys that come in and they're 2 or 3 extra cars, or you get the SS green light, Cole Custer car that comes out. It can change the field quite a bit.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead, RJ.
No, I was just saying we've seen that very, very often, more often, especially the Cup affiliated teams, as far as, like you said, Custer with SS Greenlight, Carson Quapple DGM car per se in the series as well. But Mason, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, you've been able to, be able to achieve a lot in your career, Ryan, from being with, startup teams to well-established groups like Alpha Prime, DGM last year, and now you're here with Young's Motorsports. Talk about with us, just the journey, right? Every race, every opportunity is a journey in itself. And, whenever I realized whenever we had you coming on the show, I was like, wow, I actually need to do my research on this guy, because all I know is that I've been teammates with him twice, and I didn't even really talk to him. We were mostly just giving each other crap. So,
I felt like we talked a good bit, yeah.
Yeah, but we talked, but it was just I was
sure.
always busting your balls, you were busting mine. So it was just that's just kind of the way it was. But I realized, until I did my research, I realized, wow, this guy's been on a hell of a journey, from running cup races and running for a bunch of smaller teams to where he's at now. And kind of talk to us a little bit about the journey, because, you and I have talked, and very much so you busted your butt with trying to find more sponsorships and more opportunity, and what you feel like is the next best opportunity to make another step in your career, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't want to give the full 36 years, but I'll give you the quick elevator pitch. I started when I was 4 years old, and raced like everything from quarter midgets to legends cars to late models to got into Grand Am and won a few races there, and got lucky enough to be called to do a start and park for Jimmy Means in the 52 car at Road America. I just happened to be at the same track, and kind of dove headfirst there, start and parked for like 2 or 3 years. Got lucky enough that my fraternity sponsored me, and went from there to ending up doing PR after I made 3 or 4 cup starts and thinking I was going to be full-time in BK racing car and like have the best year ever, to being Matt Benedetto's PR guy, and did 4 years of that with him and LaJoy. And that wasn't like a shtick. That was a full-time job as I got married and started to have a family, and COVID happened. Got lucky with a supply chain lead generation job, and that taught me how to like build a sales pipeline and work within certain CRMs and work with SDRs and BDRs and all these things I just didn't know. Applied that to racing and went from like literally semi-retired to 10, 11 races to 30 to 33. So I think I realized how lucky I am to be where I'm at, like truly. And I don't think people realize how much work it is to sell one race like you do, Mason, and like Balicki and Smithley, like a lot of the guys in the back part of the garage. That's why every time you lose a sponsor, it hurts so bad, and you're just constantly like stressing, even though it looks like you're not. You're just happy to be at the track, and when the track goes bad, then it's like, what am I even doing this for? I think Brad Perez has given that analogy pretty good in the past on a few different shows. But it's so much work just to get to the track, to go out and run anywhere from 6th to 38th, and just happy to be there, because I think that's the biggest accomplishment for both of us, is just being able to say we race in NASCAR most days.
Yeah. Tanner, go ahead if you got a question for Ryan.
So you've raced in Cup, you've raced in O'Reilly, you've raced in trucks. What is like, what would you prefer? They're all different cars, different skills. What would be your preference if you were to choose Cup or trucks or O'Reilly?
What's your favorite car, Ryan, to drive?
Probably Xfinity. Oh, O'Reilly, got it. Yeah, no, it's I just think it's a really good point right now. like the Gen 6 Cup cars were so cool to run at Texas, the old Texas and old Indianapolis. I'm so like fortunate that I got to do that stuff and race against Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, like so many of my heroes. But car wise, I don't think we've ever been in a better spot. Look at that throwback. That's the Brickyard. Yeah, those cars are cool and they were so fast. But you used to get back in the Nationwide, I don't know what they were at that point, series, and I was fat then. No, we used to get back in those cars. They felt like spec Miatas because it felt like you were just barely rolling. I think it's a little bit different now, but we have so much fun driving these cars now that I can't imagine being much better.
Yeah, it's the O'Reilly cars. I love watching them. I know you guys love driving them. I love watching them. I love covering the series. I feel like even just a race like this weekend at Las Vegas, obviously it's so easy to compare, right? O'Reilly and Cup, but it's easier now because of how different they are. This has been a topic lately. I don't know how much you watched of Brad Keselowski hosting the Dale Jr. Download, but he was talking about the approval process. Everybody's been talking about the approval process and this and that. I've been talking about it for years, obviously now, but with the whole Cletus deal, it's been a huge topic of conversation. When we had Tommy Joe on here last year, then he was like, "Yeah, they didn't
back on.
Under the
He would
code.
have a rant. Yeah.
They didn't
Oh yeah.
All right, we're co-hosting now.
All right. Well, we lost him. Hey, he's back.
Hey, here we go.
Shout out Realm took you this time.
Sorry, weather's been rough here. But we had Tommy Joe, and obviously he was, talking about how he didn't get approval to run the Coke 600, and that was news to all of us. It's such a dynamic topic to talk about, but kind of where I'm getting here is the difference between the O'Reilly and the Cup cars. Do you think that is good that they are so different? Because obviously before they were very more similar, right? It was kind of like running the Nationwide series or the Busch series was preparing you to run in Cup, not only just racing against Cup drivers on Cup tracks, but you were racing in a car that was similar. Now we have completely stretched away from that. The cars are two completely different beasts. Do you think that's a good thing as far as for drivers coming up through the ranks, or do you think not so much?
I'm just because I haven't driven the new Cup car, probably not the best reference for that. And honestly, I'm like the worst race fan in the world. I'm kind of proud of that. Like I don't really watch most Cup races, or I watch the truck stuff just because I'm laying in a hotel bed most of the time. But you just allow to be more forward. I know it's not necessarily what you asked, but I think having the cars be similar would at least allow more skills to transfer between the two, and not having to like relearn the racecraft or side force or how one car is affected by the car in front or behind. But coming from a little bit of dirt and coming from road courses beforehand, it's like they're all NASCARs. That's like what I thought going on. I'm like, well, they all feel similar. Truck, Xfinity at the time, Cup, and yeah. I don't know. I just didn't feel like that big of a difference. I just wish that I understood like how to get from here to here. Cause I'd run a lot of Cup races and I was fully cleared. And then I asked just out of curiosity, I think at the beginning of this year, and they were like, yeah, you're not licensed for anything in Cup. I'm like, what? I had no idea. I thought I was like still licensed. I guess I got it revoked. I don't know. I must have done something stupid, but yeah, it's not as straightforward as I would have thought.
Did they tell you what you got to do to get it back? Like,
I didn't ask. Yeah, I was just like, thank you. I wasn't really planning on doing it. I was just curious.
Well, I was gonna say I do, because I tried a couple times. I figured it's a stretch, but I've tried. But yeah, I know what they say, to say the least. And I've heard a lot of guys have had the same thing, and it's like, well, what NASCAR wants you to do with the position that me and Ryan are in with these smaller teams, it's not exactly achievable on a consistent basis. So yeah, it's a little bit unrealistic. I'll say that. I won't disclose too much, but I will say that it's pretty unrealistic for where me and Ryan are positioned with equipment and trying to achieve what NASCAR is wanting you to achieve to be able to be Cup approved.
Yeah, it's not really taking into account the tier of team or anything like that, which I understand to some degree, like go out and win a race, but it's a little harder than that. Like it would keep guys from like Ross Chastain from being approved at the time that they were approved for Cup, and we don't want to lose that.
Yeah, exactly. I think the plan here is Tableau's just going to turn you into an influencer, right?
Yeah, they like the O'Reilly series because it's all in the CW. So you can watch it all on Tableau. I've asked them about cup races and truck, and they're like, no, we're good. So I'm happy they're happy. And they know I suck at acting. So anything they put me in now has no lines.
Hey, you guys are pulling the viewers over there. I mean, I know you mentioned you're not the best race fan, but are you Twitter fan? I mean, I know you're on Twitter. Like, do you see the numbers when they get put up? I know you got it. I'm sure.
Fortunately, I've logged on to look at Twitter
those,
X today. Yeah.
How excited are you about the numbers that you guys got all last year? You guys are starting pretty hot this year. And is there anything in specific you think that's appealing to people, making them watch, besides just being on one channel the whole time? It's pretty easy to access.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good for creating that habit of how to tune into the races, one. But at the same time, like we've closed the gap on the Cup Series. I'd like to see the gap close a little bit more on the team pay side, not driver pay. That's a whole different issue. But just seeing how our series is starting to grow, and obviously it's getting closer to the Cup Series numbers. I know our attendance is not nearly as close as we'd like to see it, but it's great for a sport. I don't know if it helps us sell anything. I really haven't seen like any help there. I guess it helps that it's not falling off, but there's been a lot of races where we're pretty surprised by the amount of people in the stands. That's what was cool too.
Yeah, no, the attendance is always a good factor. I want to throw it over to a question from Instagram. Chris Gahn says, what has to happen in any given race for you to walk away feeling like it was a success?
I'm really bad at answering anything seriously. So like right now, I feel like a 27th place just after the last month, but it's hard to say. Like you could, like if I were third in the last lap of like say a Talladega and I finished 9th, it wouldn't feel like a success. But if you just told me I finished 9th, it would feel like a success. Same thing with finishing second. Like it would be the best place to feel pain. I feel like it'd be so close yet the career best. I think it's just knowing that you beat the guys in our weight class, not to give the most boring, terrible answer of all time, but like we look at the guys that don't have lease motors. Like I think last weekend it was 5 of us. And of course the 44 is leading that group, like always, but you just want to race with those 4 or 5 guys and beat 5 or 6 that you shouldn't be racing each week. So it's tough to quantify without going in and diving into who has what and what's really what each week. But I think we go in hoping for a top 20 with some attrition and top 25 like on pace most weeks. Terrible answer, boring, but it's really the truth.
No,
but it is realistic. I mean,
yeah.
It's just the way it is, you know. I mean, like we've talked about, or like you said, Ryan, you know, you want to try to be like, in my opinion, I feel like anything better than, or anything 28th or better is usually a pretty respectful day, give or take on attrition and what happens in the race. But I mean, you're always shooting for those top 25s because they can be somewhat achievable. I feel like you earn them more now than you did back in the day with the top 25s, and then the top 20s, you might as well get the champagne out and start spraying it in the garage area with your guys, right? At places like Las Vegas, the 1.5 miles and some of the short tracks and stuff like that, where, you know, you got to really earn them. But it's not a boring answer, but it's just, it's what we strive to try to do in our type of position at the end of the day. So it gives our viewers an idea of, yeah, we're working hard and we're trying to make things happen, and just, you know, being able to maximize the opportunity and what the day brings. That's all you can do.
I agree. I will listen to Garrett Smithley's like, why do you still do it? Question, like his pedestal that he got on there when he was on this show. And it's not quite that sexy, but yeah, you got to like set the goals and really have to just put attrition aside. Like if you can't quantify that, because that could swing you 10 cars one way or another. Like it could be 33rd beating the same guys as it is 23rd. So you just look at who you're around, really.
Yeah, I was scrolling through my camera roll, trying to find like old Ryan Ellis stuff, and this wasn't too old, but like this, I'm sure you can remember.
How do they post official results?
Well, that's NASCAR heat. I don't know what that is.
1.5 right now. Pretty cool. Hopefully get 2 here the next hour. I'm really nervous about it. I'm Mario, man. He doesn't even know what's going on. I don't either. It'd be the dumbest top 10 I've ever had, and that's only out of 2. So.
Yeah, I was fine with it. That's the opposite.
That was for viewers who don't know, Ryan Ellis basically finished but didn't finish in the top 10 in August, and the unofficial results had him in the top 10. I can't remember what exactly got moved around, but
I didn't
nonetheless,
care.
I
It
remember.
was fine. Like I was like 28th going off of turn 2, and then they wrecked the entire field, and I was like, "There's no way they're going to let this stay." So just getting 11th there felt like I cheated, so I was cool with it. We did try to protest the 5th place versus 6th because it looked like I got 5th, but I think we waited too long. We were like too busy celebrating 6th we literally missed the protest window at Daytona this year.
there's a
I
protest.
didn't know there was a window. Yeah.
Wow. So you can protest your position if you don't feel like that's what you should have gotten. Does that happen often when there's like unofficial results, caution on the last lap? Teams like do that?
I know I've done it twice. I don't know if that's like a normal amount. I think it was like Martinsville or like one of those races where they just like wreck half the field and like we're somehow one of the 10 cars left and they score 20 destroyed vehicles that didn't even make it back to the line ahead of you. But yeah, Daytona, I was just happy to be there at that point because it was like ridiculous. I think we got wrecked with 5 to go and I was thinking we were going to be 28th and ended up 11th. So can't cry about that.
Yeah, speaking of Martinsville, real quick, you were part of that meeting I believe you guys had last year, where they, in essence, told you, "Hey, don't do what you guys did last year in the spring at Martinsville." How do you think this race is going to go? Obviously, there's new drivers in the field that probably weren't in that meeting. I know the fall race was probably a little bit cleaner, but is this a race that you anticipate still being chaos, given it's the O'Reilly series? There's a lot of people that like to bump and run. Tempers will flare. Hopefully you don't wreck 20 cars in the last lap, but do you expect this still to be a chaotic race?
Yeah, I think you just got a lot of guys that, I mean, I don't know how many, it might be one of their first times in Martinsville. And those ones usually get pissed off a little quicker than the other ones. I find my limit really quick, and I'm just going into Martinsville now with the mentality of just like, F it, because I usually end up at that point. So I might as well just start there like Jeb Burton does and just move everybody. Saying that with like nothing but love for Jeb because he has really good runs there. But yeah, that meeting sucked because it was like at 7 a.m. in Darlington. So I remember leaving the house at like 4:30 or something just to get there on time. But it really should have been like a 25 and under meeting because I think like most of us old guys didn't really do anything. We'll probably have something similar, hopefully not as bad of a Martinsville race because that was pretty stupid.
I actually wish the fall Martinsville last year was more chaotic because we sucked. I mean, I literally couldn't get my car to drive worth a damn. And I was like kind of hoping, I was like, well, maybe we'll get some attrition. And then it didn't happen. And then we have the real celebrity guest in the house.
She gone now.
She gone.
She is out.
Brian, I guess I didn't properly introduce myself. At halftime here on the show, I changed into this outfit to support USA Baseball tonight, playing that gold medal game. This jacket is really tight on me, and I didn't realize that in the 3-minute buffer. What other sports do you watch besides hockey? I know you're a big hockey guy.
Hockey. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Great hockey.
Yeah, just play hockey Sunday nights and watch whatever I can of the hockey games. Caps fan, so I don't know. I pretty much just watch the NHL and Bluey or whatever's on Tableau, obviously. No, whatever the 4-year-old demands. I'm just her carekeeper, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. So I'm just at her will. And I don't really watch the races because usually Sundays the day we're catching up. So it's like we're literally playing Pretty Pretty Princess or something. Like I'll have it on or have like spotter comms on my phone, but it is don't think about racing day. And outside of that, it's just hockey or Battlefield, Call of Duty, whatever's up on video games.
There you go. Yeah,
we played with Carson a little bit. I know you just had him on, Carson and Cody.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They're the gamers. Mason's been trying to get us all together.
I've been trying, man.
I've been trying to figure out Minecraft for the last month.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, nope, too old.
Why?
Nope, I'll play like Sims before that.
There's no age limit on Minecraft.
There's no age limit.
No, I put one on there. Yeah, it's 35 and under. Yeah.
All right.
I'll stick to Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Ready or Not.
All right.
That is not a PG game.
We'll stick to COD then. But yeah, no, it's funny you bring up hockey. I've actually been to a couple of. Is it the Carolina? Correct me if I'm wrong. I've only been to 2. Carolina Panthers No.
The
Jeez.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Damn it. The Hurricanes game. And I've genuinely best sporting experience I've ever had. So we need to get RJ out to a game, and I need more ball knowledge on hockey from you, Ryan. I gotta start learning more about this.
Come play. Yeah.
Come play. Oh God.
We have 2 guys that are like in the NASCAR industry on my team. So
I actually wouldn't doubt that. Are they pit crew guys though? I would imagine.
Yeah, one of the like JGR guys is on my team, and then the producer for Fox Charlotte. So I don't know if he's really a NASCAR guy because he doesn't know anything about NASCAR. I'll be the first one to tell him that. But there's a few other guys in the sport that play.
I was gonna say I got to get my ball knowledge up on hockey.
I will drag you there.
Okay.
I have extra equipment. We can try.
Well, I'm gonna get
But on the
my ass
spot,
beat.
we will make sure to get video footage of that 100%.
Ryan, did you say that you're a Capitals fan? Did I hear that?
Yeah, are you? Oh no, you're a Penguins fan.
Oh yeah.
God, I saw the Pittsburgh stuff. Yeah.
I can't stand you the Capitals.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, we went to the Vegas Golden Knights game. Actually, I got my caps, 2 caps helmets, like right there. Those are signed by like the actual team. But we went to the Vegas Golden Knights Penguins game last Friday with Tableau, so that was pretty cool because at least I could cheer against the Penguins. But
yeah.
Ryan,
when it's Penguins Capitals, I can't. I don't like them. But
I'm with you. Yeah.
The last thing I'll do, Ryan, before we let you go, because I know we're already past 8 p.m. threshold. You already gave your I guess why do you still do it speech. So the one thing I will ask you before you go is your closing statement per se. What's left on your bucket list as a racer? Do you have anything? Do you have anything where you sit there and occasionally think, okay, as a driver, I want to do this at some point in my career? Is there a race, a car you want to drive, anything that you still kind of think about?
Yeah, definitely the Daytona 500, like no question. I have a lot of friends that were able to race in that race, and like Balicki, Cody Ware, like they've done it. Obviously, DiBenedetto's racing that a bunch. So I feel like my life goal wouldn't be complete without that. Got to race the Brickyard 400, so that was on the bucket list. I'm still stupid enough to think, and I feel like it's true, that like you just never know and could end up in an Indy 500 ride. I know it's like a 0.1% chance, but like this whole sport and world is just funded by sponsorship. So it's like all I got to do is find that one person that's just silly enough to sign a check. Because that was like my grandfather's dream when he was racing, was to race at Indianapolis. So to do that at the highest level would be cool. But more realistic one, which still sounds silly, is to do the Daytona 500. Obviously win one of these freaking races, because that would make it all somewhat worth it. At least I say that right now, to kind of feel like I stole a trophy in a sport that I shouldn't have made it in. Just like Mason or any of the guys that like didn't have the money just to pay their way in. I think if I could just put one of those trophies up there, I was like, well, at least I can say it was worth it.
100%. Well, I think that is great. We're always rooting for you. Thank you so much for finally getting on here on the show. We've been wanting you on here for a while. Glad we could at least kind of somewhat kick off the season here with you on, and best of luck with everything. Excited for your deal over there at Young's, and hopefully the tracks start treating you a little bit better. Starting this weekend, Darlington will not get ran into. You might hit the wall. I guess that kind of happens at Darlington, though.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah, that's fine.
Hopefully nobody ruins your day. But thanks so much for coming on. We'll definitely have to chat with you again soon. And myself and Mason will see you in Martinsville. I'm going to try my first hot dog. So
sounds good. Avoid the hot dogs; they suck.
Okay. Well, I still will try one. We'll see how it goes. But thanks so much. Thanks for coming on, man. And we'll see you again soon. Best of luck this weekend at Darlington.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And that was Ryan Ellis, driver, the number 02 for Young's Motorsports. Long time coming. Glad to get him on the show. We've been waiting a while, so that was fun. Got a cameo from the family there. But nonetheless, boys, tonight, obviously, this jacket is way too tight. I am not wearing this tonight, but we will be watching USA Venezuela, hoping the U.S. goes and gets the gold. But great episode, boys. We have show this at the beginning. We've officially completed the episode, having the return of Magoo. Talked to Austin Green a few hours ago. Talked about the beef between Suarez and Chastain. Carson Ware joined us. Ryan Ellis joined us. Of quick shout outs before we go out. I think I really only have one. Shout out to Timmy Hill. Timmy Dater's back.
Yeah.
Hey, we're matching right now. Yeah, there you go. Timmy Hill's back at the Cup Series this weekend for Garage 66. That's the only shout out I got. It's 8:06 p.m. Let's wrap this up. It was a great show. Fantastic show.
All right, we lost him again. So I will take over in the meantime until he comes back. Okay, well, he's back now, so never mind.
Oh, we are so back. Anyways,
We're so back.
Cue the outro music. Great show. Thanks.
Great episode until I messed up the hockey team. I just feel stupid now.
You almost had it. You got the Florida Panthers mixed up with Carolina.
That is
I know. I got football and hockey mixed up. I feel stupid. But anyway, I will leave it off to RJ. This is Tanner. We're all three of us, we co-host the Motor Stardom Show. I'm not good with outros, so I'm going to let RJ take over.
Oh, yeah. We're out here. We're on the Motor Stardom Show. Mason Maggio occasionally drives the number 91 for DGM Racing. Tanner Popella, he lives in Pennsylvania. He's starting to watch NASCAR some more, and he's got some elite wheel knowledge more and more every week. It was great to talk to Austin Green. It was great to talk to Carson Ware. It was great to talk to Ryan Ellis. It was great to see all of you in the chat watching all over on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitch. Thanks for all following on Motor Stardom. 41,000 strong on Instagram. It's been a fantastic start to the season. Darlington this weekend. Can't wait. See you guys all next week on the Motor Stardom Show. Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Same time as always. Peace.